It's the story of my life.
Gilda Radner was a comedic legend who was a member of the original cast of Saturday Night Live, where she broke boundaries and inspired a generation of comedians. Tonight, CNN premieres a new film about her life and work. Here's a preview.
Hi, I'm Gilda Radner. And, okay, now. People want to know what made you funny.
From the time I was a kid, I loved to pretend.
She was the very first performer chosen for the cast of Saturday Night Live.
There, Rosanna, dance.
They just loved her.
I basically stole all of my characters from Gilda.
I can do almost anything if people are laughing.
Boom, ba, ba, boom.
Gilda was just not quite herself.
One morning, she just said, "I don't know what's wrong with me."
The comedian gets the most unfunny thing in the world.
She felt that she could be of help, and that's exactly what she did.
How often do we get to know exactly how brave we are?
I always felt that my comedy was just to make things be all right.
Love Gilda, tonight at 9 p.m.
And earlier, Kate Baldwin had a chance to speak with Gilda Radner's brother, Michael, and here's that interview.
Joining me right now is Gilda Radner's brother, Michael Radner. Michael, it's great to have you.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. One of the extraordinary things about the film, and you hear it there, is the main narrator is your sister. It's Gilda, her words, her own voice, telling her own story. What is it like for you to hear her voice narrate her tale after so many years?
Well, it's very interesting. Her voice sounds so familiar. In fact, even though Gilda's been gone for almost 30 years now, if the phone rang and I picked it up and it was her voice there, I'd have to remind myself it shouldn't be there. So it's wonderful to hear her voice and to hear her describe actually her own life that way.
And Michael, you were key in this project happening. I mean, allowing the filmmakers to access her diaries and videos and writings. What did you want people to know about your sister in coming out with this film?
Well, I want people to know that basically, though she was funny, and that she was also very smart and a very good person. The Gilda that people saw on the screen or on the television and they fell in love with was actually the real Gilda. She was the kind of person that was, she treated the person who swept the floor in the studio as well as she treated the president of the corporation. That was the real Gilda they were seeing, and that was the reason that people identified with her and fell in love with her. And I like the fact that people loved her. You know, there's two kinds of people in the world. There are those that know her and love her, and those that don't know about her yet and will love her once they learn about her.
What do you think made her such a good comic?
That's a good question. I think she loved to make people laugh, and that was very important to her. And she must have had all these characters in her mind, and she threw herself into it. It wasn't her putting on an act. She became whatever she was doing, and it came through, and it showed, and obviously people responded to it.
She died after battling cancer. She died in '89. I mean, during her battle, she kept writing, she kept recording, and a friend in the film said something that I loved. She thought she could help by being an example. What was the example that she wanted to set at that latter part of her life?
Well, she knew that cancer was a battle. She was planning on fighting it. She was hoping to survive, but she wasn't going to let it get her down. Once she came to terms with it, she said, I make people laugh. I'm not going to stop doing that. And she pressed forward and tried to live life to the fullest and, you know, not give up. And for her, it worked. Unfortunately, at the end, there was a sad ending. But in dealing with the cancer journey, sometimes it's not the ending that matters, it's how good you can make the journey. You don't know what the end is going to be, but you can make the journey along the way as good as possible.
I love that. So many of today's comedy stars, they appear in the film, talking about her and her influence. What do you think she would have made of all of these tributes?
I think she was basically modest. She wasn't looking to pat herself on the back, but she would have been very pleased that all these people appreciated what she had done, and she would be very happy that she had been an inspiration for so many young women who went into comedy and used her as an example of what could happen and looked up to her, and she made a difference in their lives by encouraging them to go ahead with a career that they thought they might want to do.
I'll tell you, I really enjoyed the film when I was able to see it. Michael, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, sharing your sister, and sharing all of that footage. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I hope everybody enjoys it. Millions of people are going to see Gilda, and millions more are going to learn to love her. So thank you and CNN for putting the film on.
And thanks to Kate and Michael Radner for that interview. You, of course, can watch Love Gilda tonight on CNN at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be right back.